Everybody, this is James Pelton. Welcome to the Saturday edition of James Pelton AMAs. So I don't know if anyone else was watching the Portugal game, but I want to give a congratulations to Morocco, the first African team to make it to the semifinals in the World Cup. So kind of a historic day for a lot of people. So go ahead, hit like. That's what I need from the audience. Hit like first. Also, let me know if you've been watching the World Cup. I'm obviously was supporting the U.S. and we're out, but I still enjoy watching the finals and just seeing it. But yeah, let me know which team you're supporting here in the World Cup going forward. So good to see all of you. Lame Hillbilly, it's good to see you, brother. Glad you could make it. Top Gun Hatch, Funny Turo, good to see all you guys. I appreciate all of you. It kind of feels like a family sometimes. And I don't just mean that as a cliche. I really mean that. So appreciate all you guys. So we are here today with the team from Adey's Advantage. So I'm excited to talk through this and kind of hear what's going on. Moosefin and Max, can we go ahead and start with introductions? Can you guys just tell a little bit about yourself and then we'll jump into the project?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into crypto about 7 months before the end of the bull market, and I got into DeFi right at the end of the bull market. So I've exposed myself to a lot of good protocols and a lot of not so good protocols, and a lot of that helped motivate me. What the good protocols did motivated me to want to explore getting into creating a protocol. And Max and I made one back in May, and we had some fun with that. And we're trying to do it again and take our lessons learned and make something that's more unique and more aligned with what we're trying to offer. And that's my intro.
All right. What about you, Max?
Okay. Yeah. How can I start? I've been around for a while. I've always been trading with Bitcoin back in the days. I mean, since around 2012. So what I used to do is to just go on. There's a website called Local Bitcoin. So on the website, you can trade with other people trading as well. So the website is just like an escrow. So I trade on that for a while and for about 7, 8 years. So I got into DeFi I think last year, just as an investor. So I've seen it all as well as an investor. And like Moon said, we got together in May and we created a little protocol, very small one, but we enjoyed that. And we've had a little bit of experience around DeFi, and we are trying to develop on that. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Yeah, good to meet you guys. So excited to talk through this a bit. So let's go ahead. I'll bring up the website here, Adey's Advantage. Do one of you, whichever you feel like you're more qualified to answer this, do you want to kind of just give an elevator pitch of what Adey's certificate is trying to be and what you're trying to build here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Adey certificate is inspired by WealthMountain, and when I say that, I mean I think what WealthMountain, the contract, the version 1 did was it kind of flipped these more recent staking contracts on its head, and rather than having a lot of locking and potentially completely locking your initial investment, giving the customer and the community the opportunity to pull their funds out whenever they needed or wanted to. And the only thing that would be considered is the exit and entry taxes and any other things that might impact how much they could collect. But obviously, everything that has massive success also has downsides and spots for improvement. They're working on a new thing. And we had some ideas that we wanted to incorporate with that high level idea of what WealthMountain made. And the things that we're trying to bring in are a Tomb Fork inspired boardroom debt phase for the treasury use, and a Ohm Fork redistribution use of the treasury at end of contract life. And we'll get into more details about that after, but that's, I'd say, my elevator pitch.
Okay, good. No, that was good. Sometimes I ask for an elevator pitch and it takes like 7 minutes or something. I'm like, what is this is like the elevator in the Burj Khalifa or something like that.
Yeah,
No,
I think
that's
we
great.
probably only got up to the 16th floor there. So
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So for people who aren't familiar with Wealth Mountain, again, I'm very familiar. I think most of my audience probably is. But maybe you could explain a little bit about what Wealth Mountain was trying to do and kind of, how your protocol works.
Sure. So whenever you invest money in a staking contract, there's always rules that should either give the community power over the contract health, or the team power over the contract health. And I think Wealth Mountain kind of leaned towards giving control to the community, at least in the sense of they had deposit tax of 10%, a unstake tax that went from, I believe, 10% down to 2% over a 50-day period. And the yield would be the way that people could get a higher ROI than what they originally put in. So those rule sets are what made their structure the way it was. And our rule sets are similar. We still have yield, and yeah, you've scrolled down to AC default tax yields. So that graphic at the bottom there, that's showing the amount of days that you would be staked. And this is not a graphic with any financial advice in it. It's strictly a representation of the mathematics that are inside the contract. And if anybody has any questions about this, I've been inviting people in Discord to ask questions so that they can better understand how these numbers are calculated. But if $100 deposit is put in, this chart shows you how much money you would be able to collect if you unstaked and withdrew your rewards after 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, 60 days, 364 days, and whether it's beneficial to only stake or if it's beneficial to compound halfway. And all of those decisions are things that each individual would have to weigh the pros and cons and the risks involved. But that's, in a nutshell, how our contract works and how it differs from Wealth Mountain.
Okay. Nope. Makes a lot of sense. So basically, you're putting in money and you get a higher return the longer that you keep it in there for. Does that, so with Wealth Mountain, it was a retroactive thing where, like, when you hit day 21, it went backwards and got your 3.3% on everything before. Is that how yours works?
No, I think we took a longer time to think everything through. We think doing that will just create some kind of bubble. So it is important for us not to do that in order to give space for newcomer and for them to grow as well. So we decided not to do that in order to make it sustainable.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree, because it kind of created a bubble where we were just kind of watching the whales to see, oh, when's this contract going to run out? Can you explain the unstake fee? And it says 8 to 20%. Can you kind of explain what that range means?
Yes, absolutely. So that kind of ties back into the tomb fork boardroom debt phase inspiration. Maybe that's not the best analogy, but I'm a tomb fork junkie, so it's where my head goes. But our treasury is only funds collected upon deposit and unstake. So that's everybody's principal, everybody's initial deposit, and what they take out at the end. And that is a collection of the community's funds that we want to use to serve the community. And the way in which we do that is if the team deems TVL on the contract to start to be taking a negative trend, we will take some of the treasury and directly inject it into the contract. So that means that the treasury won't be taking a position to start pitting itself up against the community. It's more so a tax back, if you will, and it obviously gives the contract a little more size, a little more longevity. And then as a cost to doing that, the unstake tax will be moved up to 20%. But an announcement will be shared in Discord. We'll say the unstake tax is moved up to 20%. We've deposited this much. Here's the transaction hash. As soon as our treasury reaches this level again, we will change the unstake tax back to 8%. So it's the one manual lever that we decided to have in our contract, and it's to try and buy people more time and also act as kind of like warning buoys. But the treasury isn't going to be taking back more than what they collected. It's just trying to be one more dynamic that helps people have more information at their fingertips when they are following what we're doing and remaining engaged in our community.
Okay, so that will be, like you said, it's kind of a manual lever. So people won't know exactly what that will be at. It'll kind of depend on the health of the protocol. Is that the right way to think about it?
Yes, and that's not the only use of the treasury. It's just that's where the unstake 8% to 20% comes from, and it comes back down to 8% as soon as the treasury is quote unquote square, and that's when you could call the debt phase over.
Okay, gotcha. So how long do you think this will last? So what happened with WealthMountain is, me and my community, we would be checking the contract balance every day and kind of, oh, is today the day it's going to run out? And it ended up lasting maybe 3 months or something like that. Maybe not even that long. That's probably too long. But what do you think? Do you think this will last long term? Do you think people are going to have to be in here watching the contract balance, or how do you think it's going to play out?
Okay. I think it's important for us to emphasize on what Moose just explained. For example, the use of 8 to 20%, number one reason for that is to discourage anybody that wants to stake. And once we put it up to 20%, the next thing we'll be doing is to be investing from the treasury in order to encourage newcomers and for the contract to be stable. And this is one of the things that we figured out in order to be able to sustain the stability of the contract. And I think by doing so, we have better chance of staying longer, maybe a little bit longer than WealthMountain. But one thing for every player to know is that no party will last forever. It will eventually get to an end. But with what we've put in place, we put a lot of thought into it. It took us months in order to be able to arrive at the tokenomics we stake to. So I believe we stay longer. I believe.
So if I could just add a couple more points, I think you put that perfectly well, Max. But if you could flip over to our white paper just for a moment and go to the yield spot, I would strongly recommend anybody who's looking to invest to go over the entire white paper. A lot of time and effort was put into it. A lot of wording was made to help make it as clear as possible. I've continuously asked our Discord crew to give any feedback if they feel anything's written unclearly. And obviously anything inside the white paper and anything we say is not financial advice, but the goal is to try and present people with data and allow people to have the ability to make informed choices. But this graphic in the middle here, it's kind of an approximation of what people should consider when they're choosing to invest. It would entirely depend on the actual health of the actual contract, not your individual position. But this graphic kind of shows you if you're looking to stay for 20 days to 44 days, the risk is lower, and as time goes on, risk goes up. The question of how long will the entire contract last is very difficult to pinpoint, but the way in which we're going to try and keep our community informed is to use our dev team rewards as one indicator I can explain that a bit more later, but I'm just going to focus on answering this question now. But take the total withdrawable rewards and chart that against the contract TVL, because I think if you take those three elements and you chart them, I'm going to be charting them daily, but I'm probably only going to be sharing them every 3 days. Obviously, when we're getting closer to what I anticipate to be the end, I would be sharing more regularly. I just don't want to commit to doing it every single day because I might want to go water skiing one day and break my leg and hang out in the hospital for a bit. But
well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the best way I could answer it on top of what Max said, because I think he covered it very well.
What does the CI stand for here?
Sure. If you scroll down, it says it, but it's contract interactions. So
okay.
Some people might be coming to this expecting a mining contract. So there's a lot of these mining contracts where you need to do a transaction every day, compound, and then every 7th day you collect, something along those lines. The contract that we wrote, and it's, I'll tip the hat to WealthMountain. Really, it's one of my favorite things about their ecosystem is if you go in with a plan and you execute that plan, you could go in, get your profit, and come out and have only touched a contract like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And the reason it goes from 3 to 5 as it shifts from staking only to compound halfway is the contract actions would be deposit, withdraw rewards, unstake, and then for the 5, it would be deposit, compound rewards, withdraw rewards, unstake, and unstake. And there's, a plethora of possibilities. People can flip this upside down and do their own math. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to do it. I just wanted to present these as the most logical choices that people might choose, and how they decide to adopt it and incorporate it into their plan is entirely their choice, and the risk is kind of just an estimation. But the most important way to understand risk is to be aware and look at the contract and its TVL.
Yeah, nope, absolutely. Yeah, and that's this address here. So can I ask, what's going to motivate people looking at something like this? I mean, it definitely makes sense. People who want to get on launch day, right? Like that's a good time to get in. How are you going to convince people, if we're 3 months in or something like that, and people are like, oh, I'm kind of in, we're in the orange on this contract. How are you going to motivate people to keep coming in when the risk is higher, later in the project?
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah. Okay. There is one thing everybody has to know. This is a game, so every players have to play it with their own strategy. That we are not with this chat. We are not telling anybody what to do, but to understand what is within the contract and their expectation. But for me, what is most interesting about this protocol, in particular for me, is how it was put together and for who it was put together for. For example, without the players making money, we are not going to make a dime. Not only that, even for content creators like YouTubers and all, without the people that put their money inside, the players making money, there won't be any way for us or for referrals to make money as well. So for us, it's always about the players first, and we may be second or third. So they put together about the treasury as well. When you look at it deeply, if it is not misused by us, just the two of us, it is mainly to stabilize the contract for the investors. So, I mean, for the players, I don't want to use that word investors. So it's important for them to know. And I think that is the selling point. Of course, Moose said art off for the original, the WealthMountain, but we took it way apart from what they've done. A lot of things were done differently, and it was done differently considering the players. And that is always the number one goal for us, to make sure that anybody getting into our protocol enjoying the promises that we have within the white paper. We want to commit to nothing but what we have in the white paper and nothing more than that.
Okay. No, I like the way that you worded that. And I like that you're upfront about that this is not necessarily an investment. It's more of a game. I mean, there's a chance that you can make a lot of money. Like this is $100 deposit with potentially, $8,000 of profit if you for 364 days. But again, it's a game because you also have the chance of losing all that money if the contract balance gets so low. So I think if people go in with the right mindset, that again, this is not something that you take your social security or your IRA, you take everything out of your IRA and you throw it into Addy's Advantage. That's not what I would recommend personally. But it's more of a game to kind of see. And here's I love this, the risk gradient and then the potential reward. So you can kind of figure out, okay, where would you fall on this? Do you want to make $200 with pretty low risk, or do you want to try to make $800 with a higher risk? So very much like that. Thanks for putting that together. Before we get too deep into it, let's go ahead and talk about the launch, because the launch is today, correct?
Yes, launches in an hour and 38 minutes.
Okay. So it's coming up and again, just my opinion. This is not from the team. This is from me. But I imagine the people who get in on launch will probably do pretty well. That's my experience with these type of things. So if you're here, that's a good sign, I think. When it launches in an hour and a half or whatever, all you're going to need is just some BUSD, connect your wallet, and you can put it in. Is there anything else that people need to kind of know about the launch?
Yeah, sure. So it's maybe not extremely obvious, but our contract actually has a WBNB second half to it. So you can invest BUSD if you think the global market is going to collapse, or if you think that WBNB is going to go on a moonshot over the next 50, 60, 70, however many days you intend to stay in. If you think it's going to go up, then you can try and get the double dip and benefit from the WBNB value increase over that time that you're anticipating, and the gamified aspect of our contract.
Okay, so you can do either BUSD or you can do WBNB. Kind of up to you. Usually, it's just whatever I happen to have in my wallet is what I choose. Do you want to talk what you talked about using the treasury to kind of help stabilize the project a little bit? Are you planning on doing investments with the treasury as well?
Yeah, so I'm glad you've asked. I'm just going to talk about the other two parts of the treasury before I get into investment. So part of the use of the treasury will be for marketing funds, and the other thing will be the end of contract life, and that's where the Ohm fork redistribution comes in. And it's not something I want to give like explicit details about right now, but it will be done ethically. And essentially, anybody who registers with us to say, I didn't make money, I lost versus my initial, they will get verified, which, since they're only going to be doing 3 to 5 transactions likely, or if they lost maybe only one transaction, it'll be very easy to understand where everybody sits. We'll verify each each participant's ROI, and then the plan will be at the end of the 2-week or whatever it happens to be entry duration. We'll split the entire treasury up with all of those people to give everyone an equal ROI increase. So it might be that everybody gets 10% of their ROI back, might be 30%. It would entirely depend on how many people have verified accounts that they've lost versus the funds that are in the treasury. But we're just going to essentially push all the money back into the middle of the table, say, good game, everybody. Hope everybody had fun. And then we move on. The last thing I'm going to talk about is your question. Sorry for being so around it, but I personally feel that investing other people's money is not something that I'm happy or comfortable doing. I think that it's, and I don't want to be too combative against other protocols that do this, but I think they're essentially gambling with other people's money who may not necessarily have been open to the risk that we'll be taking. So our treasury is a war chest to protect the community, and finally, it's their golden parachute at the end if things go badly for them individually. And I would hate to have any of the treasury locked up in some 30-day stake or a DeFi project that we thought was going to do well and then flopped. I don't want to lose people's money. I want to hold it in trust for them. And we have it in a multi-sig wallet that will be controlled by myself and Max. So there'd have to be a real unique opportunity. Like, I'm just going to use an example of like Ethereum dropping down to $600, and we both happen to be available at that time, and that looks like it's just a blip that will recover. But it's not at all what's in our playbook. We don't want to gamble with anybody's funds that was put into the treasury. That's potentially not going to happen ever. It would have to be a very, very unique opportunity for us to consider it. So that's my answer.
Okay. No, I like that a lot. And I like you just being so upfront about that. And no, I really appreciate that. Max, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Okay, if I may just, because he has covered everything already, but I just want to emphasize on one or two things. We want to treat it as it is. This is a game. So, and we don't want to go outside of that. So, and as well as it said, whatever remaining in the treasury will be distributed at once. It's not going to be you take 1 or 2% this month and next month we give. No, we are going to redistribute everything at once, so everybody can just take whatever they may be their portion, and that will be it. Thank you.
Okay, nope, like that. Can we talk a little bit about the security? So again, that's a risk for new projects, especially on launch. Do you want to talk about the audits and KYC and just how do people know you're not going to just take the initial funds and run away with them and things like that?
So the great question, thank you. The contract has been audited. We have an audit that's on our white paper from Encrypto Security. We did work on this contract for over 2 months. It did go through several iterations, lots of testing, and we do have a KYC pending from CoinSalt, and we have a KYC that's secured and on the website and also linked in our white paper. The blue text that says Encrypto Security inside the wallets, owner, treasury, and dev team header. And then, as far as how we secure the funds, the owner wallet, the only control it has is the Unstake tax fee manual switch from 8 to 20 that I spoke about earlier. And the treasury wallet is the one with all the funds. And both of those are multi-sig wallets where me and Max both need to confirm any transaction. And then the dev wallet is my wallet. I personally deployed the contract. I personally am in control of the website. And as far as security goes, that's all the precautions we've taken. And that's how we've kind of tightened everything up to make people feel comfortable. I'd be much happier if we were launching with CoinSalt's KYC as well. I'm not entirely sure what is the time constraint for them, but I'm trying to remain as patient as possible.
Yes. Nope. Yeah. Those KYCs can sometimes be difficult. So, and I like this audit that their only high issue they found was you can change the unstake fee, which you already, admitted is part of what you guys are able to do. So that's always good to see on audits like that. So, let's see. Do you want to talk a little bit? I know this question comes up a lot, but how much are you guys getting paid? I think people expect, obviously you're not doing this for free, but I think it's really good to just be totally upfront about that and, the benefit for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to circle back to reference links afterward, but I'm happy to go over this right now. We just kind of skimmed over that, and it's something I'm very pleased with. But the dev reward is actually structured very similar to the reference link supplier half. When you invest $100 and you pay $10 tax to the treasury as you enter, you'll have $90 to accumulate rewards. If you decide to wait 50 days, I think it works out to roughly $120 of withdrawable rewards, in addition to your initial still being available to be withdrawn. When you withdraw that $120 of withdrawable rewards, a 7.5% representation of that is added to dev rewards. So you do not lose 7.5%, but the impact of your withdrawal is not 100%, it's 107.5%. This is our way of trying to ensure that if anybody invests and they lose and they make no money, we get nothing from them. But if people make money, we take a little bit of money from the contract when we get back to our computer and we collect it. We don't want anybody's transactions to automatically send us funds. We want to be a part of the game and, having to be interacting with the contract as well if we want to reap any benefits. The reason we set it up that way is our UI looks very amateur. Sorry. I'll take that criticism. That's fine. I shouldn't have looked at that. It's distracting.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'd say you turn the comments off. That's I'll keep track of them for you if you want.
Yeah. Okay, so where was I?
We were talking about the dev fees, and
yeah. So if you decide to withdraw that, or if you decide to compound that, you will collect your funds, or you will compound and make a bigger stake. And when you make that choice is the only time that any funds become available to the team. So I felt that was the most ethical way to set up a dev reward system, and I'm quite pleased with that. As far as the scaling of it being 7.5% of all withdrawable rewards, I'm sure some will feel that that's more than it should be. Some will feel that it's not enough, and that's something that we'll have to address if anybody brings it up as a concern.
Okay, very good. Do you want to talk? Yeah, you were going to talk about the referral links a little bit.
Yeah, so our referral links, I think most people know how referral links work, but I'm going to go over this very explicitly just in case anybody doesn't. So referral links are, if I got you to use my reference link and you invested $100, you would get $3 upon depositing funds, and I would only collect 5% of your withdrawal 50 days later when you've got that $120 decision to make. So if you withdraw, you get 95% of $120, and I would get 5% as your ref link supplier. So again, it's modeled on customer gets funds up front. The reference link supplier gets funds after the initial deposit participant has collected funds. So no funds go to anybody's wallet that wasn't directly depositing until the participant gets money. And that's something I think is awesome, and I'm hoping that others fork that. If nothing else, I hope people fork customer first coding. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, nope, very good. And then the risk tab. So we already talked a little bit about this, but maybe do you just want to highlight again the potential risks and what people should kind of keep an eye out for?
Yeah, so the risk, I think I went over it pretty well, but I have no issue saying it again. If you invest and you don't complete the second half of your plan, which is withdrawal rewards and unstake, before the contract goes to zero, you will lose all of your money. That is extremely important for people to understand. And the best way to avoid it is to pay attention. So there's no need for contract interactions, but you should be paying attention to this game. You should be paying attention to your position and the contract health. We will be providing information, but I'm also going to be encouraging people to actually go right to the source and look at BSC scan. I've got a tutorial of how to use every single function on BSC scan and how they can interact with the contract without using our website at all. I think that might be a great choice for, I'm going to do a dig now, Grand Moff Marque. If he doesn't like my UI, he can go to BSC scan and he can interact with the contract and not be involved at all with my terrible looking website.
Build his own UI.
Okay.
But our website does offer a couple warnings, like if you collect the if you unstake before you collect your rewards that have been accumulated, that money is forfeit. So there's warnings in my tutorials about that, but in our website we're able to just tell that to you before you say unstake. So we do have some features that help people not make mistakes that would be regrettable. But yeah, everybody's UI is different. Everybody's expectation of what it looks like and how it should look is different. That's okay. I'm ready for any criticism.
Yep. And you don't claim to be a graphic designer, correct?
Okay.
I would be a terrible one if I claimed that.
if I may say, in order to put the blame on myself, the website was designed by myself. So the most important thing for us that we're focusing on why putting the website together is to be informative as much as possible. And the more you interact with the website, the more you know, and the more you see the other side of it. The most important part of it, which is to give you a guide as you move along the website, and that's what we focused on. So I'm sorry for bad design.
We shouldn't fill this up with too many apologies.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. That's how I've always been. I'm a programmer myself, but I've always been terrible on the design side. So I would write my own code, but then I would steal the design. I'd buy a template or something because I have no design ability. In fact, one quick story: Pocket and me are working on an NFT collection for Facebook dropshipping stores, and he's been asking me about the design, and I say, "Don't involve me in that decision. It'll look terrible." My wife can attest to that. So very cool. So anything else from the white paper that you feel like we need to touch on? I want to remind people of the launch stuff again, but anything you feel like we didn't touch on or anything you want to emphasize a little more?
I think we covered everything, but one thing I will say is if you go to the 80 certificate, the one that's got like the graduation hat there, that's kind of your one-stop shop if you don't need further explanation of everything. If you scroll down below the yellow and green chart, that's a summary of all the taxes, where they go, and it's like short and sweet. It's just kind of jam everything into one page. So if someone likes to look at it that way, they can. And then every other section is an expansion on each thing. The order that we chose for each of the pages of the white paper are on trying to make sure people understand RefLink. It's imperative that they do, because one thing that I actually forgot to say when I was going over it is the RefLink is permanent. So if James Pelton uses my RefLink and he invests $10, and then later he goes, you know what, I'm going to invest $100. I would benefit from both of those decisions. So you should be very careful who you use for your reference link, and just make sure that you understand the benefits of both sides of that relationship. I think other than that, I've kind of said everything I want to, but Max might have something else that I've forgotten.
No, I don't think so. You are very good.
Okay. And Jimmy James, which I like that name. Jimmy James says, I find the 40x per year unbelievable and great if true, where they're made test runs. So again, I want to point you to this chart where this is more like a game. So again, yeah, there's potential for 40x or maybe even more than that, potentially. but the risk goes up the longer that you're going to stay in. So you have to just kind of decide for yourself. Nobody can really tell you where your risk. You might be super conservative and just say, you know what, I want to make $30 in 30 days and do something like this. Or you might say, you know what, I want to be in the middle and I want $300 in 90 days. Or you might say, you know what, I want $8,000 in a year. But again, the risk is going to go up. The potential of you losing it all is going to be higher. So that's the way to think through it, and think of it as more like a game than like an investment into the stock market or something like that. So not a long-term play. I would call it degen. I think that's probably fair to say, but I like it. Do you need to deposit first before getting referrals?
No.
I just answered in text, but yeah, no, you don't. But a good practice to do on any staking contract that has a referral bonus is do a small investment and then do your intended normal deposit after the fact to create the link and then put in the funds. It doesn't. I've done it in testing, but yeah, I would always encourage people to do that extra careful step. I transfer funds from one bridge to another or one blockchain to another, and I always send $10 to start, and then I send whatever else I was going to send afterwards. All very good practices, and it would require you one extra contract interaction at the beginning and end, but that's a very small hardship to be absolutely confident with what you're depositing.
Okay, and actually, I just realized, so I said I'll use the referral link of the first person to comment it here, but then I think YouTube deletes links in the comments. So that was a dirty trick that I played on you guys there. So someone shoot me a DM. Someone in my community, if you shoot me a DM on Telegram with your referral link, I'll use your referral link. Well, let's do it that way. So we'll reward people in my community. So I want to remind people of the launch. So we'll go back to the details here. Launch will occur December 10th, which is today, December 10th, at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 1 p.m. Central. So it's an hour and 18 minutes from now. And again, the way I'm thinking through it, this is not from the team. This is just from me as a third party. I imagine the people who get in early will probably do well. The people who get in later probably will not do as well, is how I imagine it will go. So if you're wanting to get in, then, might be good to get in early. So I totally understand too, if you look at this and say, no, I'm not wanting to do a game. I'm looking for passive income investments. So I totally get that as well. So awesome. Yes, if anybody has any further questions, I'll post a link to the Discord here as well. But you can hop in there. I know the team would love to answer just anything that you have, any questions. But otherwise, just stay tuned for about an hour and 15 minutes from now. So audience, thank you guys. I love just talking with you guys and just hearing your opinions. Even if they're negative, Mountain Brothers says the website looked like it's built off a $10 budget from the Philippines. So I imagine it was built with a $0 budget from the team themselves. So, probably even cheaper than that. So, but I appreciate you, audience. Appreciate your comments and everything you do. And Moosefin and Max, thank you guys for hopping on and for building and just for being so transparent. I find it really refreshing.
Thanks. We appreciate the chance to talk to you.
Awesome. Yeah. And if anybody needs anything else, Moosefin and Max, I'll for sure get a tweet out. I might do a YouTube short even just saying, hey, we're live now, just to remind my audience that it's going. But yeah, if you need anything, please reach out. I'd love to help as much as I can.
That would be great. Thank you very, very much.
Okay. Thank you guys so much, and hope everyone has a great rest of their Saturday. Thank you all.